Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowances made for the fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing nonprofit educational or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair. All topics are for entertainment purposes only. None of the information presented in this video or by B-Girl TV should be taken as fact. Every situation is based on personal experience. Image Boutique is located in the Centro Comercial de los Pueblos Mall, located in Panama City, just 15 minutes away from Cadogan Airport. We specialize in hair care, wig extensions, and much more. Come visit us. Hey guys, welcome to the channel. Can you guys hear me? You know, I'm always having issues with my microphone. I switched out the microphone, so I just need you guys in the comments to let me know that you can hear me. I'm over here trying to set up to get the people on Instagram together so they can make their way over to YouTube. But, you know, Panamanian time, y'all always late. So we're trying to give you guys time to come in. But those of you who are already in, let me know if you can hear me, if the audio is clear. Please, my people who's always here every Tuesday. Okay. Oh my God. Okay. I had to go back to the old microphone. So I'm hoping and praying to God that we don't have audio issues like last time. And I ordered a new microphone. But it hasn't gotten here yet. So here we are. So anyway, how are you guys? For those of you who are coming in, you know, I like to give you guys updates on what is going on. So as you guys know, I am doing a toy drive for the children of Cadogan City. Let me show you guys the flyer for those of you who didn't have a chance to see the flyer. But for most of you, you already have seen the flyers. For those of you who are new and you don't know how we get down, and for the people who are watching this on the replay, let me show you guys the flyer. Okay, so as you guys know, I am taking donations for the children of Cadogan City. We do have a GoFundMe, which I'm actually going to close down on December 1st. The event will be December 19th. And for those of you who are my day ones, you guys will be there to see the event, to meet the children. My next vlog, I actually go to Cologne and I introduce you to some of the kids, for those of you who already donated. So you guys are going to get to see who you donated to, where the event will be, and all that good stuff, right? So if you haven't had a chance to, and if you do want to, the GoFundMe is linked in the comment section. So you guys can just literally just click the link and leave a donation if you choose to. Okay, all right. For those of you who already donated, thank you. We have raised $900, and I appreciate you guys. Those of you who did donate, you guys are freaking awesome. So thank you. Okay. What else before we get into this? You know, we still gotta wait for the late Panamanian people to get in here that would like to come in 20 minutes after the fact. What else? Okay. For those of you who believe in the channel and you guys want to grow the channel, I actually have positions available. Let me show you guys a flyer. If you know anyone, a college student, everything is remote. The only thing that is not remote is the photographer. Okay. So I am looking for the following. Okay. We're looking for a photographer, a live stream moderator. So when we go live, I'm looking for someone to moderate. Um, I'm looking for a show producer and a production assistant. Both of those positions, you'll be working closely with me to create content for our live shows and to reach out to individuals to get on the show as well. So if you know any young people that want to get involved here in Panama or outside, do send an email to bgirltvmedia@gmail.com, or you can apply on the website. Okay. Now, I'm still looking. There's still some more people that's following, but we're not going to hold on. We're just going to keep going. For those of you who are going to come in late, you just are going to have to catch it on the replay. Anyway, guys, welcome back to the channel. I appreciate every single one of you. Today's guest is someone that I actually know personally. And to be honest with you, prior to me even really getting to know him as a person, I didn't even know that he was Panamanian, right? I think that the Panamanian community in Brooklyn is very, very small, and usually everyone knows each other. And especially with me, always my mom and everybody always being so involved in Panamanian everything in Brooklyn, I was like, oh wow, he's Panamanian. This is years ago though, right? So fast forward, this individual has opened up restaurants, lounges. He's someone that I would consider a serial entrepreneur. Okay. I'm so proud of this person because during the pandemic, so I don't know. Okay, so I'm gonna let him go into this. Okay, but basically, he is Panamanian. He is raised in Brooklyn. His parents are immigrants, just like most of us who are in here, even the people that are in Guyana and Trinidad. And you have family that reside in the U.S. People have this tendency to think that, oh, when you go to the U.S., everything is very, very easy. And that's not the case. So I'm going to introduce my next guest. His name is Leslie, but everyone calls him Ontrack. So welcome to the channel.
Welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Huh?
I like the introduction.
Thank you. No. Okay. So let me give you guys a funny story. So I have a cousin. She's my older cousin. And hi, amazing Oski. I have a cousin. Oh no, because I got a new mic. Well, I'm using my own mic. Okay. The other one I threw is over there somewhere. Anyway, I have an older cousin, and me and my older cousin, this is pre-pandemic. Every summer since I moved to Panama, now I've been in Panama now 8 years, but every single year, every single summer, I would go back to New York for the summer. And this is post baby. And so my cousin, she always wants to go out, right? And I didn't have my son at the time because my son went in town with his father. I didn't have anything to do. I didn't have no chick nor child. And I was like, all right, let's go, right? So we're just going to call him Ontrack, okay? But his real name is Leslie, but everyone in Brooklyn knows him as Ontrack, right? Ontrack was a DJ at this lounge that we would always go to, right? Francesca, don't start your nonsense, okay? He was a DJ at this lounge that we would always go to. So this is 8 years ago, and my cousin was like, "Oh, he's Panamanian." I'm like, "Really?" She was like, "Yeah, he's Panamanian." And so we became cool because my cousin always was taking me to this club, this lounge, bar, whatever you want to call it, that he was DJing at. One of the things that really I admire about Ontrack is that he was able to open up several restaurants I have supported, okay? And the food is really good. He has infusion, Afro-Caribbean food, right? And during the pandemic, he was able to feed first responders during the pandemic. And that's one of the things that I admired about him the most, because during the time when a lot of businesses was closing down, he was able to stay afloat. So before we get into all of that, let me have the man of the hour introduce himself. Go ahead.
Thank you again, once again, for the introduction. And good afternoon to everyone out there listening and watching. Again, like you mentioned, my name is Leslie, but everyone calls me Ontrack. Anybody calls me by government, they probably know me about 20 or more years. But for the most part, everybody knows me as Ontrack. I was born in Panama. I lived in Panama till 12 years old and migrated to Brooklyn, New York, and I've been here since.
Okay, so you came to Panama at 12 years old. You were at the same age that my son is right now. How was the adjustment for you? Because Panama's culture and America culture is very different. I know it's a lot easier for children to adjust, but what was that like for you?
But for me, it was very hard. Even up to the now, even leading into Christmas. Mind you, I've been here for years. I won't expose my age, but I've been here for years. And as I get close to Christmas time, I kind of get a little bit of a depression, you know, because if you know Panama during Christmas, you know what it is. And to me, over here does not compare, you know. So basically, adjustment was very hard because I left all my family behind. So in Panama, I used to play baseball and football, as they call it, soccer. And I was very good. Actually, I was in the national team, you know, Little League. I traveled, went to Japan, went to Mexico, went to Colombia, representing Panama at a very young age. Then I thought I was going to be the biggest baseball star, so I figured that school wasn't important. And I had I still have a very, very strict grandmother, my dad's mom, that lives here in Brooklyn. And being the elder of the family, the matriarch of the family, she decided that coming to the U.S. was probably the best thing for me. Obviously, I didn't agree, but that was a decision that was made for me. That's how I ended up in Brooklyn, New York. So the adjustment was very hard because it was almost like take him from here and just put him here because this is what's best for him. And as you know, back then, adults, you never question what they say, so you just do as they do. So that's how I ended up here. So the adjustment was really, really hard. I didn't speak any English. So when I came in like April, so in the middle of the school, I was just thrown into a school and then and I basically survived 3 months in school, and then the following year they put me in
ESL.
Yeah, and then but within 6 months, I already knew so much English that there was no need for that. So the language wasn't a problem, but it was more or less leaving my family behind. That was the biggest, the biggest issue. Up to now, it still is because my mother's birthday was just last week, November 15th, and I wasn't able to go. And then I'm seeing the pictures of my sisters and my cousins and everybody. So it's still kind of hard. So I'm still adjusting. If you want to say that.
Were you the only one that your grandmother took to the States?
Yes. Yes. Well,
and
again,
how did your mom feel about that? Because that's a hard. Your mom would have to answer that. But.
She wasn't happy. She wasn't happy. But again, it was something that was done thinking what was best for me. I mean, eventually it worked out. It got me more exposure that I would have gotten in Panama playing the baseball, which actually it led to me playing in the Junior Olympics here in the United States, and then going to Florida State, University and playing baseball.
Now, were you born in Colón?
Yeah, I was born in Colón. I lived on Calle 4 in Amador Guerrero. If you're familiar with Colón now, you had the 3 green buildings and the 1 pink building right there in Calle 4. I lived in the pink building on the 5th floor.
It's so crazy because the event that I'm doing is actually on Calle 4 and Melendez. Okay. So you're like really like up the block from where I'm doing the event.
Yes.
Okay. So you arrived to the States. Okay. Obviously, it was a culture shock.
Yes.
Were you the only child, like the only sibling that went to the States, or did your other siblings come eventually, or you were just the only one?
No, I was the only one. Again, it was done because I wouldn't go to school. So that was I was 11, 12. It was my first year in
junior high.
No, I'm trying to remember the school name in Panama. It's gonna come back to me. But It was my
Abel
first year.
Bravo.
Abel Bravo. That's what it is.
Uh-huh.
So
Uh-huh.
it was my first. Ooh, so somebody said that.
I said that. I said that. Because my mom went to that school.
Yeah.
And my
So that,
cousins
that
go to that school.
so if you're familiar with it, the baseball field was 1 block away.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of going to school, I would go to the baseball field, and I would be there all day. And my mother used to work at the hospital or the clinic right next to the stadium. So people would see me and be like, Tachi, it's a tuyo. And that's how I would get in trouble. Because people would see me playing baseball instead of being in school. So, it was because I was somewhat a little, bad.
Rebellious. You was a rebellious.
Well,
Rebellious child.
I just wanted to play baseball. That's all it was.
So now you get to the States, and they put you in an ESL program. Now, one of the things that I've noticed when you grow up, not necessarily from Black American, like American parents, even though you are Black, they still don't view you as Black, right? Did you experience that from other Black people?
No, actually, funny enough, I had this conversation not too long ago with a couple of friends where
Mm-hmm.
I never experienced anything like that, whether in Panama or here
Mm-hmm.
when I arrived in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
If any experience that I had like that was once I got to Florida, you know. And the funny thing
Mm-hmm.
is, again, I mentioned if you know anything about baseball, with like Little League baseball and traveling, well, back then you don't stay in a hotel. You stay, family sponsors. You go to
Right.
other people's family in that country, and that's where you stay. You
Right.
know, and there was never an issue with race, color, classism, anything like that. But once I went to college, I definitely experienced that.
So what was that like, your experience in college with racism? Because it's
I,
funny because in Florida, there's a lot of Hispanics in Florida.
well, Florida State is in the northern part, which is Tallahassee, which is actually the capital
Mm-hmm.
of Florida, and there's a lot of country bunkings over there. It's
True
the
that.
northern part, so yeah, it was difficult for me to adjust. Definitely very difficult. You know, to being told where they don't like your kind here or just don't go here because of what you look like. It was definitely different.
What made you decide to go to Florida State and not another college up north?
Well, because I went on a scholarship.
Got you.
I was highly. I was a very good baseball player. I was drafted by the Atlanta Braves in the 46th round. I won't say the year, but
Mm-hmm.
I was really good when it came to the baseball. I traveled, like I said, I traveled the world playing baseball. So I was very highly recruited by most colleges and universities in the United States. So that used to be one of the best baseball programs. So that's why I went there.
I want to ask you this, going back to Brooklyn, because I'm not going to try to out you at your age, but I know that you have to be around the same age as my cousin, and she's not that much older than me. She's older than me, but not that much older than me, right?
Mhm.
And I want to say this because this is what I experienced as well. Growing up in Brooklyn, especially for a lot of Panamanians, especially the ones that lived on Flatbush, right? Because a lot of times you bring your kids to the States because you want your kids to have a better future. But unfortunately, a lot of them ended up in gang related activities, right? How did you stray away from that lifestyle?
Sports, basically sports. I mean, I have a very strict grandmother. I
Mhm.
mean, I live on President between Nostrand and Rogers, and
Crown Heights.
in the late '80s, early '90s. In the summertime, you got helicopters on both sides of the streets
Mm-hmm.
because that
Mm-hmm.
was one of the biggest drug dealing blocks in New York City. Forget Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew a lot of the guys, and the minute I was hardly seen, so I would come out 7 o'clock in the morning on the weekends because I used to play baseball in Connecticut. So
Mm-hmm.
I would travel 2 hours just to go play baseball all day in Connecticut and then come back. So by the time I leave the house at 7 in the morning, by the time I return, it's 10, 11 at night. So they really wouldn't trouble me. Actually, they took care of me, you know, they make sure I was good and, buy me stuff. If I needed equipment, gloves, sneakers, they took care of me. So, as what do you call it? The OGs,
Yeah.
it was a different time then. So when
Right.
you're doing something positive and productive, they make sure that stay out of that. So
Guyanese
I was
Brown Sugar said, "No idle time, stay productive."
yeah, exactly. So I mean, it was basically school. After school, I played baseball. During the winter, it was basketball. So I was always, and then like on a Friday, I was involved in the Boy Scouts. So my grandmother always had me in something, as she said, productive. So I was a Boy Scout, so we would go camping and do different things like that. But mainly it was just sports, baseball, basketball, track, swimming, everything. And I was very competitive, a sports person. So yeah.
My mother always says the devil find work for idle people. So I guess that's how you were able. Well, not I guess, but that's how you were able to not get caught up in that lifestyle.
Yes.
Amazing Oski says, on track. You're an example that anything is possible. Okay.
Yes. And thank you. And I agree with that 100%. And that's why the persona that I have, because if I can make it from Calle Cuatro in Amador Guerrero and make something of myself, and and I mean, unless we get into it, but I won't divulge everything. But my story is one that should be written and put in a book. So
No,
that's
we're gonna
why.
get into it.
Okay.
We're gonna go into that, okay? Because part of this channel is what I like to do is, unfortunately, there aren't a lot of positive role models, not role models, but examples of Afro Panamanians. When you look up Panama and you look up anything that has to do with Panama, you barely see anything about Afro Panamanians or Black Panamanians. Whatever you do see, especially people that come from Cologne, they're always talking about the negative, right? So they don't ever expose the positive. But there has been a lot of amazing people that came from Cologne and represented Panama in many different ways, right?
Yes.
So that's part of why I do this, because I want other Panamanians that are coming behind me, you and I, especially the younger generation, because the younger generation is the generation that we could actually change, to see that these things are possible. It's unfortunate when you are in a place where you feel that there's no hope and nobody cares about you. I did an interview with somebody that's actually for running for representante in Barrio Norte, where you're from, right? And he's in Cologne right now. He's doing a lot of groundwork. And what I see from the children is that they're coming from a place of despair and they don't have hope, right? So they can't see what's in front of them. I mean, the future. They only see what's in front of them right now at the moment. They don't see people like you and I, okay? They feel like people that you and I do not exist, like those things can't happen. I feel like if we show these children the future that you too can do this, maybe Cologne will be in a different space. It wouldn't be where it is right now. Maybe we could change the whole of Panama, or maybe even if it's just one person. One person I feel is a big deal, just my personal opinion. So that's why I feel like doing these things is very important. So let's get into your story, okay?
Okay.
What is your story? So who is Leslie? Okay, Leslie came from Cologne, and he didn't want to go to school. Leslie wanted to be a big football player. He got drafted by the Braves. What happened?
Baseball player. Well, because I love sports so much, I actually got injured playing basketball like 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and I broke my right ankle, and instead of going to the hospital, I went to bed, because back then, you live in the dorms, you had curfew, so you weren't supposed to be out the dorms by midnight. Supposed to be in your bedroom, and I was so competitive that we would play basketball, and one particular night I ended up breaking my ankle. I went straight to bed, and I just kept the elevator. And 7 in the morning, we woke up every morning, because at 7:30 we had to run 3 miles. That's the whole baseball team, And the coach came to get me because I was late, obviously. And then I pretended that I broke my ankle coming out the bed. But the state what the ankle looked like was real purple. He already knew that wasn't the case. So, so basically I had to do physical therapy. And it was leading towards the summer. So I came home to do the therapy. And the therapy took a little bit longer because actually it got to me mentally. To the
What
point
year
where
was this in college though? Junior year?
this is my sophomore year.
Okay.
My sophomore year. So basically when I came home, it took a little bit longer because again it got my mental to the point where if I was walking on the street and I see a crack on the street, I'm scared to step on it because thinking I'm gonna twist my ankle or break it again. So it really got to me mentally. So so basically I had to put down baseball because mentally I couldn't do it. And so it took me a couple of years to get back into sports, playing basketball and stuff like that. But that's when I put down the baseball. Then I came back home and I went to Kingsborough Community College for 1 year, and then I went to New York City Tech College, and that's where I graduated from. And I study physical therapy. So that's what I went to school for.
And then once you graduated, what happened?
Well, I wanted to be a sports doctor, being that what happened to me now. That I can't be because I still wanted to be involved in sports. So in 1991, that's when the World Trade Center happened. Yeah. And I was working at a company called Plus One Fitness, which was in the World Financial Center, which is a couple of blocks away from the World Trade Center. And it was affected by it. So they had to move, and I decided not to go back to work. They gave some people like a stipend, and I got like $50,000, which was I guess my salary for the year at the time. So I just took it, and that's when I started getting into the DJing. And I went and bought a whole bunch of equipment and said, you know what, I'm going to take it serious. And that's what I did for about 4 or 5 years, just practiced my craft until I perfected it. And then I would say I turned professional like around 1999, actually. It took actually more than 4 or 5 years. It took maybe about 7 or 8 years. But 99, that's when I decided that, all right, I could take on being a professional. So actually, I'm sorry, that was 2001, the World Trade Center happened. Yeah, that's when it happened. So that's when I took it serious. Prior to that, I was just a house parties and stuff like that. So in 2001, that's when I bought the equipment, and then I took it serious from it. So I haven't worked a job since 2001, 9 to 5.
Why didn't you go back? Was it because the whole World Trade Center thing got you like? Because I know it was traumatic for a lot of people. So it was just because you just realized that you just didn't want it.
I didn't want it, and then what happened was I realized that I was really, really good with the DJ, and I was making more money DJing than working a 9 to 5. Okay. So I'm like, and to me, it just made better sense. And at the time, it was tax free, so it was nothing to think about for me. So that's when I went with the DJing. So.
What did your family think? Because Panamanian parents don't think that that's a real job. Okay.
Well, they never said anything. I mean, my grandmother obviously did because that's where I was here with.
Right.
But my dad, the only thing he was telling me is just I gotta get some rest. You must stop bleaching. Bleaching meaning that you stay all night out and come early in the morning, and that was basically it. So they were actually very supportive, and
that's good.
I guess because you were seeing results from very early, from the time I started. So it wasn't a problem.
So now, what was the turning point where you decided, okay, I'm DJing, I'm making money, it's time for me to do more?
I mean, that came very later on. I haven't mentioned, but so and coming to New York from Panama at the very young age of 12 years old, I came here on a visitor's visa, which expired. So unbeknownst to me, I was here undocumented. So that's just to backtrack a little bit. So the whole situation when I broke my ankle was actually the real reason why I couldn't go back to school, because when I had the surgery and I provided the documentation that I provided, it came back that like who's this? That's not you. So and there was a time when my grandmother was like, oh, instead of going to college, why don't you go to the army? So Panamanians are famous for that. Go to the army and fix your papers.
Correct.
And I'm like, listen, if you would have told me that, then I would have went to the army and fixed my papers, or I could have done something else. So, so that's basically my backstory. So I was actually undocumented for a very long time.
I always wondered, because it's not only you. I know a lot of people that have gotten themselves into situations. They came to America when they were children, didn't know that they were undocumented until something happened, and then ended up getting deported. So why do you feel like our parents or our grandparents or whoever sponsored us to come to the States, why do you feel that they left this part of the information out? Because that's a big deal.
Yeah, I have no idea. and that's one of the things that for a long time that my grandmother and I didn't have a good relationship. We didn't see eye to eye because of that. Because that was my thought process. Like, why would you not let me know this? But I think they figured that we probably knew, or we had an idea. But at a young age, 12, 13, you're not thinking about that. As I mentioned,
correct.
All I was thinking about, I wasn't even thinking about school. I was thinking it was baseball.
Right.
So that wasn't something that I thought about, or it just dawned on me like, wait a minute. It's only until later on where I'm like, wait a minute, I want to go see my parents, but I can't go see my parents. I had sisters that were born in Panama that I didn't see till later on. Once obviously after I fixed my papers.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean,
what advice would you give people, though, the people that are undocumented? Because I know this is a little sidetracked. There's a lot of people that are entering the States. There's a lot of people that's entering the States illegally, and they have this vision that America, for some odd reason, is going to be the end all be all for whatever they think, because TV and social media, right? Yeah. And you experience that life. You know what it's like being in the States illegally. What advice would you give somebody that they're planning or they're in the States illegally right now?
I mean, I'm not one to tell people what to do, because I'm not the one going to live with the consequences.
Correct.
But do the right thing. I have a saying that do what's right. Don't do what's easy. So. If it is that you want to make it here, then make it here. But then you have to find a way of getting everything situated the right way. And it just so happened that over the years I've helped a lot of people, a lot of friends, a lot of employees gain their citizenship, because it's something taboo. We don't speak about it.
Correct.
And sometimes I tend to notice when someone is in that position, because I remember how I move sometimes. Or if a conversation came up and someone would say something, and you step back a little bit. So I kind of observed that in the past, and I would pull someone to the side, like, hey, listen, talk to me. Like, what is the situation? And they would tell me, and I'm like, okay, listen, I can help and find a lawyer, or through the job, I could sponsor. I sponsored many people to my job as well, where they can obtain their working papers. So it's taboo amongst a lot of the Caribbean people, but I think it's something that we just need to speak about, because there's a way of getting things done now.
Right.
It's not like back in the days, but now it's a bit easier now.
Okay. So let's fast forward now. Okay, so you were DJing. And I'm going to assume the reason why you were doing that was because you weren't legitimately straight, or if I'm not, you could correct me.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, definitely.
I'm just following the story. Okay. And then at some point you were able to get straight, like the Panamanians would like, they love to say, you got straight. Okay. What was that experience like when you finally got your paper? Because I can only imagine that was like a relief, like, oh my God, because living undocumented is like you live like you don't exist. You gotta move a certain way, you can't do certain things, you always gotta be on the alert, right? So after you finally got straight, where was Ontrack at that point?
Well, at that point, I was at the height of, you would say, my DJ career. I was like one of the hottest DJs in Brooklyn, New York. You know, playing out 8 nights a week. You know, that's how much I was playing out. We only got 7 days, but I was all over the place. But and I was making good money. At that time, you know, I was married. I had a son. I had a house. So I was good. The first thing I did was I went home to Panama.
Okay.
To see my whole family. That's the first thing I did. It was nothing really changed for me because I was doing well off for myself. So
Okay.
I wouldn't say that, oh, I did this, I did that. The only thing I got to do was basically go home to Panama. I was so busy that I didn't study traveling, vacation. I was just studying the money at the time. So yeah, that's it.
So with your first son, which is I think he's like 20 something now, maybe.
He's
right?
21, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, and I don't know who the mother is, but I'm gonna assume she's not Panamanian, right?
No,
So
she's Trinidadian.
okay, how was that whole mixing thing going on? Because Panamanian culture, Trinidadian, then you have kids. How do you raise your kids? How do you preserve your culture? Or is that something that you really weren't interested in because you were young? And being so young, we don't think about those things when we're young.
No, we definitely involve them in the culture. She's a very cultural person, so very cultured person. So yeah, she definitely she knew Spanish. She knows Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
So she was very involved in making sure that he learned Spanish because that's where I came from. So my first trip to Panama, actually the three of us went. You know, because obviously my mom, my dad. Well, my dad, he travels here. You know, about once or twice a year. But my mom,
Okay.
she doesn't like flying. So obviously I took her to see, you know, my wife and took her to see her grandson. So that wasn't a big issue. She was very
Okay.
she was very instrumental in making sure that he learned about, you know, his culture and stuff like that. So and
Is
speaking
there a
Spanish as
reason
well.
why you did not? Because Panamanian people love to stick to themselves. Is there a reason why you didn't? I mean, I didn't stick to myself either, so
What do you
don't
mean?
feel like you alone.
I don't understand.
Okay,
Stick
for
to what?
example, for example, my parents, they're both Panamanian. They,
Okay.
you know what I'm
Well,
saying? They stuck together. Then you have other generations that have this perception like they don't want to be with anybody else other unless they are Panamanian as well.
oh, I mean, it had to do because I'm in Brooklyn. So, I mean, Brooklyn's a melting pot. So you meet all kinds of people. In Panama, you're with Panamanians. So the odds of you meeting someone else is, you know, very slim to none. So I think that's the difference. It's not like I set out, oh, I'm going to look for a Panamanian woman. You know,
But there
I
are people
date.
that do that though.
Well, some do because, you
Yeah.
know, listen, some people, that's what they're familiar with. They know the
Yeah.
culture. They don't want anybody to question as to why you do certain things.
Exactly.
So that's fine, and I can respect that. Me, I'm just a little bit more, I guess, open-minded.
Yeah.
So, and I look for personalities.
Hmm.
You know, and her and I, we went to. That's when I was in Kingsborough at the time. So, you know, I got to know her. I know her mind. You know how she carried herself. So that was different, as opposed to just shoot like, okay, she looks good. Let me go get her. You know, so it
Yeah.
was a little bit different. Yeah.
Okay. So you got straight, and then What was the turning point where you felt like, okay, we got to do more? I want to do more. I don't just want to DJ anymore. I want to do something else.
Well, I mean, that's when basically I got my citizenship. One, I didn't want to be a citizen. I don't know why. I mean, I just never wanted to be a U.S. citizen. I'm like, yo, I'm Panamanian. That's it. But I had a trip to Jamaica one year, and while I was there, I lost my wallet, which had my green card. And what happened was, in order for me to come back to the state, I needed that green card. So what would have had to happen was I would have to fly to Panama and stay there until they reissue me a new green card. Then I'd be able to fly from Panama back to the States. And then so I was like, you know what? So my current wife now, this is years later, my current wife now, she's like, this is what you have to do. She makes some phone calls. I'm like, nah. She's like, I told you, that's why you need to do your citizenship. So you know what? You're right. And then at the time, that's when I was thinking about, so right now I'm at Brooklyn Prime. And I used to DJ in Brooklyn Prime a couple of years ago. And
but you didn't own it.
I didn't own it. I was just a DJ here. And I always liked the location. And I would tell all my friends, like, I want this place. So anyway, after, funny enough, we did a sweep of the beach and while we were in Jamaica. We found my wallet. Everything was gone except for the green card because they couldn't do anything with it. So I was lucky. I was able to fly back. The very next week, I applied to become a citizenship. That was in July. By November, because I had my green card for a couple of years already. So by November, December, I was sworn in. And then that's when I said, okay, it's time to do the things that I'm able to do as an American citizen. So, and funny enough, in order for you to get a liquor license, you have to be an American citizen.
Wow, I never knew that.
Yes. So I'm like, you know what? Let's go get it. And funny enough, after I came back from Jamaica, I got into the situation where I was managing Green Light Lounge, which is the same location where Brooklyn Prime is now. And I managed that for a couple of months. The owners weren't doing too well. I turned the place around for them. And then it just basically, they wanted to go back to doing things, revert to doing things their old way. I'm like, why? You weren't doing so well. I came in, we fixed the place, we got you back on your feet. And then that was in that was Christmas Eve, 2015. I left. A year later to that date, they closed the restaurant. The few months that I was here managing, I built a relationship with the owner of the building. And because I'm the one that was taking care of the rent while I was here, took care of everything. So I gave him my word that, listen, from now on, as long as I'm here, I'm going to make sure that you get your money and take care of things. So once the place became available, he called me. He's like, hey, listen, the place is available. If you have the qualifications, it's yours. And I met the qualifications and I took it. So I took the place in April 2017. So we've been here since 2017. So that was, to me, that was a turning point. But prior to that, I opened other restaurants. I had partners where we opened restaurants. It's just something that I like I guess what do you call it? The service industry.
Right.
Dealing with people. So, it's easy for me. It go hands in hand with me DJing, promoting events. So it's easy, just have good food, a good environment, and just promote it just like it was a party. So, but the turning point was going to Jamaica.
Okay, so you went to Jamaica, but you had another restaurant on Notion.
Yes.
I forgot what was the name. What was the name of that one?
Palooza
Kitchen. Yes, that's the one that I went to. Okay, is that still open?
No. So the first one we opened in 2015. And we closed that 2018. So because what happened was, in the span of 3 years, I opened 2 takeout restaurants the bar and restaurant, and I had an event space. So in the span of 3 years, I did that, and it just became overwhelming.
Yeah, you spread yourself
So
too thin.
yeah, so I wasn't able to focus on everything. So I decided to close the first one. The second one, Palooza Kitchen 2, that was on 1222 Notion. So that's the one where when we did the during COVID when we helped the people out.
So I want to get into that, right? So COVID was crazy. Okay, it was an experience. I think it's just gonna go down into the history books. Like I never in my life thought that we would experience something like that, right? A lot of businesses was closing down. A lot of people were affected. A lot of businesses were affected by COVID. But you managed, even though things weren't good, I seen you getting up, obviously on social media, at random hours, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, going to buy groceries to cook for people, right? How did you do that? How were you able to? Why would you do something like? Why would you want to do something like that? Is it something that God put in your spirit? Is it like, what was the motive behind it?
I think it has. I think it's something within me that I believe was passed down from my dad. Um, my dad, we share the same name, Leslie. He's a pastor in Panama, in Cologne, and what he's done over the years, and what he still does over the years, he built churches for communities in Panama out of his own pocket and from donations. So from time to time, he'll hit me up, hijo, necesito, $500, and he needs to buy sand, he needs to buy bricks, and so what he does, he goes to different communities and he builds churches, and then he'll find a pastor and he just places the pastor in, and he walks away, then he goes somewhere else. He's my hustling spirit came from him. Watching him from young, businesses. He owned a couple of bakeries, panaderias in Panama, in Colón. At one point, he owned 3 of them. So it's almost like me following his footsteps. And then because of the kind of person he is, he's a very giving person. So it's something that I guess it was instilled in me. And where I come from, I don't come from much. The biggest asset that I believe I have, and a lot of us have as Panamanians, is family. We usually have large families. My family is huge. So that's why I mentioned earlier at the beginning when I said, when it get close to the Christmas time, I get kind of, a little down because it's not what it is in Panama. And growing up there, I didn't have much family. It was just basically whoever I was with at the time. Now, my family's growing. I have my wife, I have my 2 kids. My son lives in Atlanta now, so he's not around much. But I just like to give. And to me, I found an opportunity where I was able to give with the help of the community and from out of pocket as well. So it was an easy thing for me to do. So basically what I did was Brooklyn Prime, I opened Brooklyn Prime on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday for business during COVID. Because remember, there was a lot of restrictions as to, the timing.
Right.
And so what I did, we did strictly takeout Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And what I did, I told the people that, listen, as long as you guys support me, I'll be able to do this. So what I did, I took a portion of the proceeds that we made. So let's say if we made, just for math purpose, $5,000 on a weekend, those 3 days, I would take $1,500, and I would utilize that at the other restaurant. The other restaurant at the time only operated. We weren't doing takeout anymore. I used to do a lot of contract work. So I used to have a couple of contracts with elderly daycare centers where we fed the elderly. So I had a staff of 4 that we would go in there 7 in the morning and we'll cook for 250 people. Then I would deliver it to the different locations. So that came to a halt because the first thing that they closed were the elderly daycare centers. So one of my employees like, so what are we going to do now? And the one thing that I always preached to them was that, we're a family. He said, boys, what are we going to do now? Like, how are we going to take care of our family? And I was like, wow. So I went home and I'm like, listen, my wife, I said, babe, I said, what are we going to do? She's like, what are you going to do? You're the one always coming up with the great ideas. I said, how about we do this and this? And she's like, that sounds good. And we already knew what it takes to feed 250 people on a daily basis. So that was my goal. I said, okay, I'm going to feed. I know that I need this X amount of money to cook, to buy the goods and to feed, and then I'll be able to pay my guys. So that's where the $1,500 came from, per weekend. And then once the word got out, people were like, listen, man, put it out there to people to help you. And then I put it out, and people started donating, $20 here, $25 here. And then eventually someone called ABC, Channel 7, News 12, and I was being interviewed by different news channels. So the word got out even bigger to the point where we were feeding 1,000 people per day.
Whoa.
Yeah. So, but that was so basically, like I said, Book and Prime, we operated Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then we did the feed-in on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesdays. So it went beyond the first responders, because there were people that lost their job, people that couldn't go to work because the kids were home. So we were also feeding, families in need. So it was definitely a beautiful thing.
I think one of the most touching things that you said so far was your staff. Like, I could only imagine, because obviously I have a business too, and I have staff too. I don't have that much staff. But one of the things that always worried me is like, how are these people going to feed their families? Yeah. So when you are an entrepreneur, and I don't think people realize
I think we lost her, guys. Just give her a few seconds.
Oh my God, that was crazy. I don't know what the hell just happened. Okay, so I said, I don't think one of the things that people realize when it comes to entrepreneurship is that you have this great responsibility where, sorry guys, I don't know what happened. I got kicked out. Where you feel guilty for not being able to help people, right? How are you able to get over? Because that's mentally, that can take a toll on you. Because it's not only your family, but then you start thinking about other people's family. People have kids, people have this, people have that. And then you start looking at yourself as an entrepreneur like, damn, like I'm a really effed up person. Or you start beating yourself up because you can't help and I think it's a lot when you, especially when you're an empath, right? When you're an empath, you suffer with that a lot. So how were you able to keep your mental straight? Because you had so much. And then growing up Panamanian as a guy, men are taught to be leaders. You know what I'm saying? You are the provider of the family. You are, I don't know about now, but back in the day, okay, when men were men, okay, they were taught growing up in Panamanian household that the man is supposed to hold everything down. The man is supposed to take care of the family. The man is supposed to always have the answers. And honestly speaking, men are human beings too. They all have their moments, right? Yeah. Have you ever had those moments where you felt like you couldn't go anymore? And if so, how were you able to pull yourself out of it?
Yeah, definitely all the time. I'm going through it right now, but I have a great support system, which is my wife. My philosophy is she makes sure that I'm good in order for me to be good for everybody else.
Okay.
So, and to answer your question about the employees, it is sometimes it does feel like a burden, because I mean you do want to help people, but what I feel like my blessings will always continue to flow because of who I am and what I do. So sometimes I don't think about I don't think too much about not doing. I think about more like what I need to do. You know, unless it's affecting their household, then that's different. I mean, because people don't understand when I actually essentially I still work for people, and people want to be, oh, I want to be my own boss. I can't work for nobody. Now I'm working. I got 14 employees, because guess what? I'm responsible at the end of the week to make sure that 14 people get paid, whether business is good, business is bad.
I feel like saying like, yo, I can so relate to that right now. The pandemic has done a lot of damages to businesses, and I don't think people understand that.
And it still is. There was a poll that was conducted last month, and like here in New York, 50% of restaurants were not able to pay their rent last month. I mean, listen, right now it's terrible. You know, the weather has shifted. It's gotten really cold, really, really early. People don't have money. The economy is bad, so people are not coming out like that anymore. You know, and a lot of people staying home, and they, you know, whether they cook or they order out, but physically going out to places, they're not doing that. So if people are not coming in, but you still got to pay your staff, you still got to buy the goods. You know, and it's a trickle down. It's a trickle down effect. You know, so when people tell me like, I want to be like you, I'm like, if you want to be resilient, if you want to be tough, then I get that. But I don't know what you mean by you want to be like me, because you don't want to be in my shoes. You know, before I see a dime, I have to pay 14 people. I have to pay rent. I have to pay gas, light, insurance, liability, buy goods. So it's really, 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 really tough. But again, I have a great support system. So
what you're saying right now, I feel like I'm in your skin right now, because I feel like people only see what they see on social media. They see things on social media, and I mean, a lot of people, and I keep on telling people are only going to put the highlights. They're not going to put. People don't see when you're up at 3:00 in the morning. I mean, I'm a crier, but people don't see when you're crying, okay, and trying to figure out what the hell you're gonna do, or when you have to lay people off, because if you don't lay people off, then your whole ship is gonna sink. People don't see that. They just see, oh, well, yeah, and then you have to deal with the people that always got their hands out because they think that you got it. And let me tell you, you in the States, I'm in Panama, there's really no difference, okay? The economy is not, remember, a lot of things, Panama is, they don't export, they import a lot of things. So they rely on outside entities to come in, right? So a lot of these stores for Christmas, you can't get decent toys. The stores don't have much stuff, and they're not ordering things either. I went to go buy Christmas decorations, and they're like, well, no, we don't have any of these Christmas decorations because we're only going to sell what we had from last year because of what's going on in the economy. It's literally like a trickle down effect. And I don't think that people really, really want to understand that. I want to jump into some of the comments, because I love when the audience, they ask questions. So let's see what some of the people are saying. We have Witty Walcott says, found out he was Panamanian during the pandemic. Amazing Oski said that he can relate in regards to being in a country with no paper. No, he was talking about coming to a new country and not being able to relate when it comes to Christmas, like being able to adapt. Let's see. Ebony says, "Me too, Ontrack. I'm not going to Panama this year for Christmas. Christmas in Panama is the bomb. I can't wait, honestly." You have Amazing Oski says, "Christmas here sucks." Oh, everyone's saying the same thing. It sucks. Francesca says, "Big up Shayna." And Francesca also says she feels like it's a lack of education when it comes to citizenship with the state. Well, I think people feel like when they give up their citizenship, they're going to be any less Panamanian. And that's not really the case. It's not really the case, right?
Yeah.
All right. So I am said, what was the menu to feed? What was the menu to feed that many people?
Well, we switched it up. I mean, they ate well. We always did a chicken, where there was barbecue, fried, jerk chicken. We did some fried whiting. We did a vegetable option for people. We did soup every day. We did a corn soup just to keep it across the board. Some people don't eat meat. Sometimes we did a shrimp pasta, chicken pasta. We fed them well. Again, because I knew what it took to feed 250 people on a daily basis when I was doing the elderly daycare center. I already knew what a budget. I already knew what I was able to do. So they ate well, really, really well.
One thing I did notice about your menu is it's very Caribbean inspired. You don't really have anything that represents where you're from. Did you do that purposely, or is there a reason why that you haven't included any Panamanian dishes? I'm just wondering.
Because I don't have a Panamanian chef. I would love to. I'm sure you're familiar with DJ Big Nito.
Yes.
And him and I, we've talked many of times. We want to do a Panamanian brunch.
Okay.
But the thing is to find a Panamanian chef that can cook on a consistent basis. We might be able to do it once a month, but it's something that we want to do on a consistent basis. Whether it's every Saturday or every Sunday, you have the frituras and different things like that. Sancocho or con pollo. But the thing is, it's just finding that a Panamanian chef. That's the only thing.
I think you would have to come to Panama and source them.
Listen, I try to get my mom to come, but she's scared of flying.
I think introducing, because honestly speaking, like growing up in Brooklyn and being Panamanian, people really, they see Panamanian people, they always hear like, oh, okay, Panamanians are like Spanish Jamaican people, but they don't really know like the culture of, unless you're Panamanian, or if you have been, or you really, really been around Panamanian people, you really don't really know the culture. And I blame us for that, honestly speaking, because I'm not even gonna lie to you, like me personally, all my friends is Jamaican. All my friends is Jamaican, if you're not my family or whatever. And I love Jamaican food, and that's who I'm related to, besides other Panamanian people. But in Brooklyn, for me, Hispanic people, me and Hispanic people, we can never relate to each other. When I mean Hispanics, I mean like Dominicans, Cubans, Puerto Ricans, other Hispanics. I think there was one girl from Honduras, but she was black and she was like Garifuna. So I could relate to her because she was like, they share similar cultures to people from Cologne because they're like West Indian, descendant of West Indian people. Did you have that same experience too?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up mainly Haitians and Guyanese. And I mean, if you know me on social media, I like poking fun at the Guyanese. And that's because I want to say 30% of my friends are Haitians. I want to say about 60% are Guyanese. And then the other 10% is from all over the place, whether it's Jamaican and, Panamanian, everything else. So it just so happened I'm around them. So, I just like to poke fun at them. And people think I'm Guyanese, but everybody knows I'm Panamanian.
Yeah,
I've never denied that.
You're like my daughter's father. Y'all love Guyanese people. I always tell him that. I'm like, hello. And he's Panamanian. And I'm like, dude, like, hello. Stop it.
we're both from Central America, so.
No, Guyana is in South America, first of all.
Well, yeah, you're right. I mean, but we're neighbors, so it's fine.
I'm like, no, you're Panamanian. You need to stop. Okay, don't talk to me like that. I'm Panamanian. You're Panamanian. Your daughter's Panamanian.
Exactly.
We're not Guyanese, so stop it. So, what is your plans for the future? Do you plan on incorporating more cultural things as far as you being Panamanian? Your parents are still here, obviously. Yeah. So, what is your plans for the future as far as the restaurant is concerned? Do you have any plans to do anything in Panama? Tell me. Let us know.
Well, I definitely would love to invest in Panama. Something that I want to do is I wanted to build some houses, but pandemic hit. Pandemic put a stop to a lot of things that I had in plans, and that was one of them. To buy lots and then build some houses and stuff like that, and just rent it out at a better rate than what it is now. Panamanians have it hard,
Not as hard as you think, child. This ain't 1980 something.
I mean, in comparison to the standard of living in most places, I mean, Panama is cheap, but the thing is, people are not making the money.
So this is my perspective on Panama, right? And I can speak because it's my personal. I'm here, right? I'm foot on the ground, right? I think that yes, Colón is not given the attention that they deserve, right? I think that Colón has a lot of potential to do amazing things, but my conspiracy theories are just my conspiracy theories. But Panama as a whole, when I'm talking about Panama as a whole, I mean the capital.
Oh, of course.
I think Panama is doing way better than a lot of other Central American countries.
Yeah, Panama is thriving, definitely. So right. I'm speaking more of Colón, the interior.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. That's what I'm speaking of. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So I want to invest in that. But one thing is that it's just the infrastructure that needs fixing. The water system, the sewage system.
I think you need to go back and watch some of my other videos. I'm gonna send you the interview with this guy that's running for representante from Cadogan, and you'll see exactly why a lot of the things are the way they are, and a lot of it unfortunately has to do with systematic oppression.
No, of course. Listen, like I mentioned before, with my dad owning bakeries, and he owns 2 buildings, and they're trying to get him out of there. Like, the buildings are not occupied now. And I told them, hold on to it. And they've offered them some good money and stuff. I said, just hold on to it. Don't. Because things will change. But so it's just like gentrification here in New York City. And anywhere else. Nothing happens overnight.
Right.
It's always a 20 to 25, 30-year plan for the people who are doing it. So that time frame is nearing. So it's going to come to the point where, listen, we're going to have to build around you or not build with you. So if anybody in Panama in Colón that owns property in land, I say hold on, because better things are coming.
Morris Campbell says you cannot have any kind of serious business in Colón because there's no infrastructure.
Yeah, and that's what I said. The infrastructure needs to change. It has to.
He says, I truly believe that every province should collect their taxes and keep the money local.
Definitely a good idea as well.
I think that
you got some smart people in the audience.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that a lot of it has to do with education, right? You have to educate people. And this is why I say that the older generation and our generation, they're lost. It's the little kids coming up is the ones that you really have to teach these things to. Because a lot of people are, and this is not only in Panama, I feel like people who are in situations where they can't see a better way out, they get very comfortable. They get comfortable with the way things are. They're just like, okay, like whatever. Nothing is ever going to change. But if you breathe life into the youth, that's where you need to start. You got to breathe life into the youth, because as they grow up, they're the ones that are going to be future politicians, future lawyers, future business owners, future this, future that. Those are the ones that you have to like breathe life into. Because unfortunately, our generation and this generation right now, they're lost. I mean, I don't want to say that there's no hope, because anything is possible, but really it's the real, the 12-year-olds, 14s, those ones that's coming up is the ones that you have to breathe life into.
So funny enough that you say that, because that's exactly where my next project is. I was actually in the process of, right before COVID, I was about to sign a lease for a 40,000 square foot facility. Then COVID hit, so obviously we had to put that on pause. So what I'm working in the very near future is a sports facility.
Okay.
A sports training facility.
Like a YMCA kind of thing, or?
It's more like an academy where
Okay.
where we can teach the youths about sports, different sports, whether it's baseball, whether it's basketball, tennis, hold we can hold classes, we can hold camps, during the summer you can have leagues, after school programs and stuff like that. So, because I think we do need to invest in the youths. When I came from Panama, when you said, how did I stray away from the street? It was just sports. I was busy with sports. During the summer, there was a thing called Big Apple Sports, where you can go to any school and go to the gym, and you could play basketball, you could play football, you could play anything. They had games, you could play card games and stuff like that, and that kept a lot of us busy. So and we don't have stuff like that in over here anymore. They don't even have any community center. So it's somewhat of a community center where we would teach you about sports, and it's just a lot that I want to do within that facility.
Okay.
Hopefully things will get better, and we can, because right now the real estate is really, really crazy. So what I wanted to get at the time, for me to get it now, it won't make sense. So hopefully things will balance out, and I'll be able to do that. But that's what's next on my to-do list. Because I do want to. I like coaching. And like you said, we have to guide our youths, because that's our future.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So Natasha Walter says they're complacent and scared to take risks on Facebook. Morris Campbell said our generation is set in our ways, the old ways. Correct. Yeah. On Facebook, Natasha Walter says, I'm in the same boat of opening a sports complex in Texas.
Nice.
And IM says a sports community center is a great idea.
Yes.
So yeah, I think sports is definitely the way, especially here in Panama. The kids love and breathe soccer. Like that's something that they breathe. But one thing I will say about Panama and sports is that you have to have money for people to like invest. And so I do feel like a sports, if you do something like that in Panama, that would be really, really, really good. Because like I said, there's a lot. One of the little boys that I'm actually giving, like that's part of the toy drive that I'm talking about. He's a really good soccer player. Okay. He's really, really, really good soccer. And I can actually see him going pro, but he just has to someone has to see him. And unfortunately, and I'm telling you this from experience because my son plays soccer also, the ones that get seen, the ones that's on TV and all these things that are able to play in these leagues, they're the ones that have money because they can pay $250 to be part of the league. A person the kids that's not coming from that, how are they going to be able to be a part of this big league if the parents don't have that to spend on the league? So I think that actually would be an amazing idea to do something like that in Panama as well.
That's an idea.
Alexis, yeah, it is. I'm not into sports. I'm just saying that was just something that I noticed. Alexis S says Red Hook went from the projects to luxury apartments in less than 10 years. And Morris Campbell says, I'm looking to open a tech school for programmers, networking, tech support, and cloud practitioners. That's actually a really good idea, Morris, because there are schools. I don't know where you're planning. I don't know if this is in Panama or in the States, but just in case you are deciding to do something like that in Panama, I think that's actually a really good idea because there are schools here in Panama dedicated to math and science and computer programming. And a lot of these schools obviously are private sectors, but you can also offer those for children in the public school system. So I think that's actually a really good idea, and you should really take it seriously if that's something that you plan on doing. All right, so we are an hour and 16 minutes in, and I don't want to keep you too much longer because I know that you have your restaurant that you have to run. Hold on, one more comment. In Panama, because it does not require much space, you can lease the building and get it going. Yeah, I think that's actually a really good idea. I'm going to keep it 100 with you. That's really a really good idea. So thank you to everyone who that's watching from Instagram, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. Right. I think that what you are doing are amazing. You are an inspiration to a lot of people, not only adults, but the youngins that's coming in. You are going to make your kids very proud because I'm sure your kids are like, oh, my dad. I mean, I was like that when I was young. Oh, my dad. Because, your dad is your superhero, right?
Yes.
You are an amazing example of a Panamanian man. An Afro Panamanian. I wish you much success in all your future endeavors. Thank you for coming
Thank you.
And shedding some light. For those of you who are already in here, because I see a lot of you came in late, so you're going to have to catch the rerun, which is okay. Make sure you hit the like button before you go out. Yes, I am says you are a role model. Make sure you guys hit the like button, okay, on your way out, okay? There are, I'm seeing 19 people, and there were some other people that was in there before. Make sure you hit the like people. People who are watching on the after show, the ones that are at work, and you are watching this after, make sure you guys are hitting the like button. It's very important, okay? I said thank you, Rico, for interviewing him. Oh my God, guys, before I leave, oh my God, I almost forgot. Next week, okay, I am interviewing, for those of you who are interested in purchasing real estate in Panama, okay? For those of you who are interested in purchasing real estate, I have, oh my God, where is it? Oh my God. I have, wait, hold on. Before I go into this, let me just depart Ontrack or whatever, because I know he has to go. So thank you for coming on.
I have a quick question for you. What's the day that you're giving out the gifts for Christmas?
December 19th. So the way it's gonna work is that I already have most of the gifts. I am going to wrap them. I have a team that's coming on the 28th because the 28th is a holiday. So we're gonna wrap all the gifts, double check our list to make sure we're not missing anybody. But we're also gonna have a Christmas party. So I'm not just gonna show up and like, hey y'all, no. We're actually having a Christmas party. I actually picked, for those of you who donated, okay, I already paid down on the bouncy house. I left the deposit for the bouncy house, the cotton candy machine, and the popcorn machine. So the kids are going to have all of that. I got the decorations. I got the games that we're going to be playing. It's going to be a full-on Christmas party. Any money that's left over, we're actually going to roll it on for back to school because you guys know that the kids are going back to school in March. So you can also check in the community tab because I've left the receipts of all the things, the money that I spent, the toys, some of the toys that I purchased, and then we're also going to go live and you'll see the vlogs that's going up. Of everything else, so you guys can check that.
I'll send a donation as well.
Oh, thank you so much. The kids are gonna love it.
It's a good thing that you're doing.
The kids, I'm actually gonna upload a vlog tomorrow, so you guys are actually gonna see the kids. They are so cute. They are full of personality. I told them, they're like, oh, are you going to bring your kids to the party? I said, of course I'm going to bring my kids to the party, right? And I said, but I have a baby, so somebody has to help me with the baby. They're like, yo te voy a ayudar, yo te voy a ayudar. And you know, kids in Cologne got a lot of flavor, okay? They got a lot of flavor. They are so cute. And they know that they're having this Christmas party, so they're so excited. And I'm excited also to be able to do this.
Before I go out, I'll be down there for Carnival this next year.
February.
Yeah, February.
Well, if you are here for Carnival, then you're probably going to be here around the time that like I said, I'm doing not a toy drive, I'm sorry. I'm buying school supplies. Yeah. So you probably could help me with that as well. If you
All right, cool. Yeah.
Yeah. If you want to donate to the toy drive, the GoFundMe is in, I'll just send it to you in, privately. All right. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. We'll be doing more stuff together. Guys, for those of you who are next week, I want to share this because I know a lot of you guys are interested in purchasing property in Panama. So next week, we are going to have Panama Property Guru on the live stream next week. We're going to be talking about everything real estate because there are things that you guys do not know about Panama. You guys don't know the ins and out of purchasing property. And I feel like a lot of you who follow me is because you guys want to move to Panama. You guys want to invest in property. It's going to be next week, Tuesday. You know we go live on Tuesdays, okay? Panama stuff is on Tuesdays. Tuesdays at 6:30. Every Tuesday at 6:30. You guys know that, okay? There's a lot of ins and outs and things that you guys do not know about purchasing property, okay? Especially if you're purchasing property as an American, even if you are Panamanian. Even if you are Panamanian, but you lived outside of the States and your income is from the States, purchasing property is not as easy as you think it is. So next week, Tuesday at 6:30, we're sitting down with Panama Property Guru. He is my personal contact, somebody that I trust. He's a very honest person. And on Friday, I'm going live at 12 p.m., okay? And I'm going to give you guys, we're not going to be talking about much stuff about Panama on Friday. Friday, we're just literally going to be talking about current events, but I do want to share something amazing that somebody has done for me, and why I feel like everyone, no matter what you're going through in life, always be a good person because your blessing, karma is real. But we're going to talk about that on Friday at 12 o'clock, okay? So see you guys Friday at 12 o'clock. So while you guys are at work and you're eating lunch, you can tune in to our lives. Thank you, everyone who's tuned in, everyone who's watching. Make sure on your way out that you're hitting the like button on your way out. If you haven't already done so, make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Subscribe. And also head to the website, www.bgirltv.com, and sign up for our mailing list so that I can keep in contact with you guys so you guys never miss an update. So thank you guys for tuning in. I love you, and I will see you guys on Friday.